Hey guys, it's George here, responding to some of the many questions that I've received directly and also been reading on various forums about the long run. Now, if you're a runner and you're training for a half marathon or a full marathon in particular, then this question or these questions are bound to have cropped up at some point for you as well. And that's things like, how long should my longest run be? How quickly should I progress the long run week to week? How fast should I be doing the long run? So what I want to do in this short video is to answer some of those questions as best I can. But please bear in mind, these are my opinions, these are my thoughts, these are my experiences. And if you're following a completely different training program that has you training 10 days a week, then you're probably going to have different experiences to what I'm about to share with you. So first of all, let's talk about how long should your longest run be. And this will absolutely vary depending on what level or standard of runner you are and also what distance you're training for. Let's talk about the marathon first of all. A lot of people get freaked out by the idea of running a marathon for the first time, having only run up to 16 or 17 miles in training, and even with a half marathon, if you've only run up to 10 miles and there's 3 miles there of uncharted territories, like, well, that can feel a little scary as you stand there on the start line just not knowing. But that's all part of the fun, right? That's kind of it, what we're doing this for. We want to discover things about ourselves, and the only way we're going to discover things about ourselves is by bloody well doing it. So that's the first thing. It doesn't matter that you haven't gone the distance. You don't have to, absolutely don't have to. It might give you the confidence that you can do the distance, but it's going to break your body if you try and push yourself to the distance when really you don't have to. More runners will fail to get to the start line of a race than those who get to the start line and fail to get to the finish line. So you're much more likely to get injured and not even do the race at all than you are to get to the start line, maybe slightly less prepared than you could have been physically and mentally, but you'll still get to the finish line. There's a much higher chance of that. So don't worry at all about not making the distance before the event. So how far should you go? Well, again, this depends on your pace. If you are a 90-minute half marathon runner and you're doing a 2-hour long run, you're going to go more than 13 miles. You're probably going to do 14 or 15 miles in that time, even at a slower pace than race pace. Whereas if you're a 2:30 half marathon runner, then in 2 hours, clearly you're not going to go the distance. Same thing for marathon. If you're trying to run a marathon in under 3 hours, and you're off for a 3.5-hour training run at a comfortable pace, you're probably going to get 24, 25, maybe 26 miles in there. Whereas if you're a 5-hour marathon runner, again, you can see that you're not going to get anywhere near the distance, and that's the bit that freaks most people out. I recommend your long run be carried out at a slower than race pace. So whatever your race pace is, you drop that down, especially for the half marathon. You've just got to run slower than that pace because you want to keep it aerobic. You want to keep it so that you're, the whole point in the long run is, well, various points in the long run, but one of the points is that you're trying to train your body to be more efficient aerobically. So if you're running at race pace, that's not necessarily going to be fully aerobic. That's going to be taking it up to a slightly more threshold or lactic energy system. So you are working aerobically, but you're not working as aerobically as you could be. So it's all about a nice, comfortable, conversational pace for that long run. And now it does give you certain mental benefits as well in terms of the confidence, but you don't have to, as I said, go the distance to gain those benefits. If you did a long run and you're out there, say you're training for a half marathon, you're out there doing a 2-hour long run, and you finish that long run and you feel good, rather than feeling like you've got to spend the rest of the day on the couch, that is a huge psychological boost there. So don't feel like you have to go at race pace, because ultimately the long run isn't the whole training program. It's a part of the training program. And you can't neglect the other training sessions in the program, like the threshold runs, the hill sessions, intervals, whatever else it is that happens to be in your program. They are also an important part. So if you're smashing yourself on the long run and think about how long it's going to take you to recover from a marathon or a half marathon. If you're doing even 80% of that volume and intensity in a training run, then you're gonna take a long time to recover from that, and that's going to have a negative impact on your other races, your other sessions rather in the week. So don't go all out for the long run at the expense of the quality of the other sessions. So it's about balance. My training programs are based on 3 runs a week for the reason that most people respond really, really well to just doing 3 runs a week. You start adding in a 4th or a 5th or even more runs, you increase the chance of injury, you increase the chance of overtraining, and for most people, you're not going to get that much more benefit, physical benefit. So give yourselves, as a starting point, 3 runs a week. Have that long run in there. Don't put everything into that long run. You've got to do it. You've got to get out there. You've got to put in the miles, but don't feel like you've got to go the distance, and don't feel like at all you've got to go the pace that you're going to be doing in the race, because you know, you're going to build enough confidence just by getting out there, gradually building up the miles. Well, that's the other thing I was going to say. How quickly should he build up the long run? And the answer to that question really is probably no more than a mile at a time. Maybe a mile and a half. If you're adding, say, 15 minutes at a slow pace on per week, then that's going to be a decent rate of increase. You definitely don't want to be jumping up half an hour at a time. In fact, sorry, that's reminding me of the other thing I wanted to say in this video. What happens if you miss a week of training? How do you get back on track? And this is something that's very pertinent, I know, to a lot of runners who pick up annoying, niggling little injuries and find themselves you know, a week out. And 1 week they're supposed to be doing 90 minutes, and the next week an hour and 3/4, and then the next week 2 hours. They missed out the hour and 3/4 run. So what do? Do you just jump straight up to the 2 hour run? No, absolutely not. You're again increasing your chances of picking up injuries as you start stepping too far forwards for what your body's capable of. So the way to do it, the way to get around that, is to go sort of halfway between the two. So maybe add on 20 minutes. It's a bit of a push, but you could add on 20 minutes to that long run. Just make sure the pace again is really slow, nice and comfortable. And then the next week add on another 20 minutes, and then maybe the following week the 20 minutes as well. So you kind of catch up that lost time over a period of a few weeks rather than trying to do it in 1 week. If you're missing 2, 3, or 4 weeks of training, then you've got to be looking at your goals, what your expectations of the race were, and adjusting your expectations. Because ultimately, if it was okay to miss out 3 or 4 weeks of training without having any kind of impact on your results, then your training program would say miss out 3 or 4 weeks of training, which wouldn't have you doing the runs. So it stands to reason that if you miss a big chunk of training, it's going to have an impact on how fast you're able to do the race itself. So bear that in mind as you go out there, enjoy the long run. It is one of the best runs of the week because it just allows you that headspace, that time to relax, enjoy the run, have a conversation with your mate maybe, but take the pressure off. Don't feel overwhelmed by all the other advice there is out there. Just listen to me, because obviously I'm right. You know, just go out there and enjoy yourself. Bye for now.